Out there. Thank you, Steph.
Yes, let's check back in with our Doug Deloney live in the newsroom on this shelter in place. Doug, what's the latest?
That's right. I want to give you a quick rundown of how this played out this morning. It was just after 3 a.m. where we sent out our first push alert talking about that shelter in place. The shelter in place initially for those elevated benzene levels was only for personnel at ITC and the surrounding facilities, their direct neighbors. They have since, of course, expanded this to the entire city of Deer Park, that's south of 225, all the way to Beltway 8 east. So that goes into other communities just a little bit. One of the other things we're hearing this morning is, why is this happening now? The fire is out. So why are we hearing about benzene this morning? We talked to Francisco Sanchez earlier with Harris County, and he's with the emergency office there. And one of the things that he told us is they anticipated this as a possibility, because as they tap out the fire, they then go to clean, and they'd have to tap out hot spots and work in containment. They move around some of the materials, and he says they deployed local and federal officials for real-time monitoring of the air quality. And as part of that, when these materials get moved around, it can then release things like benzene. So I asked him about the map at readyharris.org. Some of you have reached out to us again this morning talking about how there's still little green icons in their neighborhood. And if you're seeing a green icon in your neighborhood and you tap it, sometimes that timestamp can be 12, 16, 18 hours old. He says they have a lot of contractors and government agencies working together to keep that air quality data up to date. And it's supposed to be updated at intervals of 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m. But the overall rule is, he says, unless you're in that shelter-in-place zone, which is established out of an abundance of caution, according to ITC, the company where the fire happened. ITC saying this is all an abundance of caution for the nearby communities. So if you live in Katy this morning, if you live in the city of Houston, you're not in the shelter-in-place area. We know that there are a couple school districts north of ITC that have also announced they are canceling classes for today. And some of you have asked, why are those school districts canceling class if they're upwind from ITC? And again, it's all about an abundance of caution this morning as they try and get a reading on these levels. ITC also telling us this morning they have crews on the ground within the tank farm, and they're trying to figure out where these benzene levels are coming from. And once they find that, they're going to work to contain it so they can get these levels under control. So again, we're standing by for a 7:30 a.m. press conference this morning, an update from Harris County. They'll be talking to us live from Houston TransStar. And of course, we'll stream that live and that press conference with the latest info from the county, the latest information from ITC, and we will pop that alert up on your phone. Just make sure you download the KHOU 11 app and turn on the notifications. Guys, back to you in the studio.
Okay, so ITC said, thank you, Doug. ITC says no immediate risk, but an abundance of caution. But my goodness, you hear the word benzene and you want to take every precaution you can.
I'm not real encouraged to hear they're still looking for the cause of where it's coming from, and then they'll try to shut it down. Yeah. So it sounds like it might be a while, but we'll maybe learn more here at 7:30 this morning. We've been talking a lot about benzene and that you can sometimes smell it. It's a sweet smell, but we heard Michelle Choi say she was feeling the effects and she smelled nothing. So it's important, I think, Brandy, you talk this morning about the symptoms that you'll start to notice maybe before you smell it.
Yeah, we've got them listed here. You might start feeling drowsy or a little dizzy. Michelle mentioned that was one of the symptoms that she felt when she was out there. You can get headaches, maybe start vomiting or feeling nauseated. You can get tremors. You can also get a little confused, you know, part of that dizziness, and possibly lose consciousness as well. In extreme cases, the CDC says inhaling or swallowing very high levels of benzene can be deadly. Now, here are the long-term effects. Those are the immediate symptoms that you might feel with increased exposure. But benzene is also linked to several different forms of leukemia and other blood-related cancers. That's why this is such a concern. People want you to be cautious, go inside, shelter in place. Those dusk masks that a lot of people have bought over the past couple of days, they're not going to do anything to keep that chemical out of the air you're breathing. We also had Jennifer on Twitter ask me about the impact on pets. So these are some things to look for. If they've been outside for an extended period of time this morning, if you're just now bringing them in, watch for them having any excessive drooling, or if they're gagging, they could start coughing or having other respiratory issues. Also, shaking of the head or pawing at the face, anything really irregular, including vomiting and diarrhea. They could also start having tremors if they've got too much of that benzene in the air that they were breathing inside. So right now, the advice is if you live in that area under the shelter-in-place order, bring all your family members inside, bring your pets inside, and cover up any gaps you have along doors, windows. Also, turn off your AC so you're not bringing that outdoor air inside, guys.
All right, Brandy, thanks. Good rule of thumb, right? If it's bad outside for people, it's bad outside for your animals, too.
Yes. I just got a text from Carrie McKeel, who is with Harris County Animal Shelter, Harris County Department of Health. She's saying also bring in their food and water dishes, wash them out, bathe your dogs if you can, if they had exposure to the outside, and keep them indoors for as long as you can.
Yeah. Well, let's go over to Steph right now because traffic is really getting serious out there around this area, Steph. They're closing down roads.
Yeah, and some people just don't know. They're going about on the LaPorte Freeway like a regular day and getting confused as to why they're getting shoved off here. So, yes, it is closed portions. They just want to keep people away. So take a look at this purple portion. This is this 8-mile stretch of a closure, and that is between the Beltway and 146. Now, why are you confused as to why we've been showing you some TransStar cameras with showing some cars on the freeway? That's because local authorities are really trying hard to get some police in place to block those exits and also those on-ramps, and it's just taking a while to do so. They want to do it efficiently, but that's why some cars are still straggling. But in a few minutes, it should be completely shut down. So that's the area you want to avoid. But I want to go back to that shelter-in-place closure and pay attention if you are just joining us. That south border closure has expanded just south of Pasadena Boulevard. And why that is so important when we're talking about traffic is because I was giving you those alternate routes, Red Bluff to get to the Beltway and also Spencer Highway before. And now you can no longer do so because you're going to be smelling that chemical. You want to stay completely away from that area. So the only option for you to take is going to be the East Freeway. But as I was showing you earlier, it's completely sold out, especially by the San Jacinto River Bridge. And that is basically slow on both sides, east and west, all the way to the Beltway and a little bit just west of the Beltway as well. Here's a portion of that closure, 225, and coming up, we will also take a look at Air 11. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Steph, thank you very much.